Get started. Okay, so just before we get on, a little bit of housekeeping. I'm not sure if you have joined the Turns workshop before, but these are the ground rules, pretty simple. Please mute your microphone until you are asked to unmute. Use the Zoom chat to ask questions and to make comments as well. And if you drop off the call, please just rejoin. I am Valerie Lalamari. I'm the founder of Women of Grace UK, an anti-FGM organization. I'm also an alumni, and I was in a position where you are now last year. I'm a resilience coach. I'm a mental health practitioner as well. Okay. Today we are going to be focusing on grants and understanding what grant is. We are then going to be looking at how you can apply for grants and where you actually need to look. We are also going to be introducing a new tool, the grant writing tool. And finally, I'm going to be introducing for the first time, what is crowdfunding? Okay, so we have a lot to cover today. And first, we are going to really understand what is a grant. Then we are going to introduce the new term grant writing tool before coming back together again to have a 5-minute break. Then we're going to understand how you actually find grants and which funders you should target when looking for grants. Before going to find some grants, some grants yourself, that's going to be exciting. We will then have a short introduction to crowdfunding. Now we know that there might be a lot of questions on your mind, and so we wanted to open it up to the floor to have a Q&A with myself before Lucas is going to tell us what is coming up next on Ideas into Action. So first up, what is a grant? A grant is a type of finance which is often gifted to you from a grant awarding body. Most of the time, this funding is given to you, but you will need to usually apply for it with a specific project in mind. A grant is very, very competitive. It's a competitive process, and you'll be going up against other organizations applying for the same grants. It will be judged by a panel before you get considered for the grant. So it's worth saying here that grants can take a little while to receive. So the earlier you apply for it, the better. Now, most grants have very similar themes, which unite them as a form of finance. They often have very clear focus on clear target users and issues. Grant givers will want to fund certain areas of your work to help them achieve their own impact targets. And as a result, they are very often impact and outcome orientated. You will need to show the impact that you're having with the money you are getting from them. A grant is great because unlike other types of finance, it has no repayment. It's often like a gift. Once you get it, you spend the money on the project you applied for it for. Grants usually have specific deadlines that you have to meet, so you really need to keep your eyes out. And they often open and close at different times of the year, so you need to really watch out so that you don't miss out. You also need to be aware that you need to be very patient with grant applications because they take a very long time and they require a whole lot of planning and patience. Now, grants often fund very specific projects rather than organizations. They are really useful for early stage organizations that want to pilot a particular project. You will need to have very realistic impact goals and what you want to do over a very clear timeline. Perhaps you might tell them you want to do it over 3 months, over 6 months, over 12 months. At this early stage, being specific about what you want to do and what you want to achieve is very important when you apply for grants. Remember that it can be very hard to get your entire organization funded at this very early stage. So you really might want to focus on the projects, the project grants for you to start with. So what exactly is the grant process? Well, when you apply for the grant, you first want to identify the best grants for you and your organization. There are tons of grants out there, but you will need to pick the one that is most relevant for your organization and for the project that you want to run, which means that you need to clearly define your project and what you're planning to do. Don't go just applying for a grant. You must apply with a specific project in mind. You really need to carefully draft an application before submitting it. And it's also very important that you need to have a feedback from your turn coach or other members of your team. Getting a feedback can be the huge difference between getting the grant or not. So you cannot do it alone. You need to ask someone to review it before you submit it. It's always very useful to have extra pairs of eyes. Then you submit your grant application and you have to wait a very long time for the decision to be made. It really does take time. A typical application looks a bit like this. So we go on the journey together. First, you're going to find a grant that is suitable for you. This is a constant process. Then you will spend around 3 weeks drafting a proposal and submitting it. Then it can take another 3 weeks for you to review. Sometimes it takes even longer. Some grants will require a further interview after you have submitted your application form. They'll require an interview round or even ask for further information or further things to be submitted. Then you will get a decision about 4 to 8 weeks after submitting. Then you will get the money. But even that, it takes about 4 weeks for the money to come through. So the whole process takes about 4 to 5 months. So you need to make sure you plan, really plan. Please, you need to manage your expectations very carefully because very many people apply for a grant and you might just be one of hundreds of applications. And say, for example, if 100 people apply for the same grant, then your chance of getting it is 1%. And you will get rejected along the way. Everyone does. But this is okay. It's okay for you to get rejected. You need to keep going. You must keep going. You must keep writing and you must keep applying. A rejection is not a bad look on your application or on what you are trying to do. Everyone gets rejected. Just keep going. The golden rule is always to ask for a feedback, both before you submit an application. You must ask for a feedback from your turn coach or even a member of your team or even a mentor. But also, if you get rejected, then ask for a feedback from the grant giver. Understand the reason why you got rejected so that you can make it better the next time when you reapply. They may not always give you the feedback, but it's worth asking. You will never know if you don't ask. As for how much you should apply for, well, there's a lot of different amounts of funding out there for lots of different projects. But as a ballpark figure, I'd like to say that a short pilot project is between 2,500 to 20,000. The amounts would vary on the project length. So a typical 3 months pilot will be between 3,000 to 5,000. 6 months will be between 6,000 to 10,000. And a 12-month project will be between 10,000 to 20,000. One thing to note on funding is there are two types of funding. The first one is restricted grants. These are common, very common at the early stages. This funding has very clear and pre-agreed objectives and impact, but also on what you can spend the money on. That's why the word restricted. So you cannot use the funding to do what it's not in the application form. What you didn't ask for, you cannot divert those funds. And then there is unrestricted funding, and these are often very more relaxed about what you can spend the money on and where you're having the impact. And this type of funding is most common in organizations with a proven track record of delivering impactful projects. So as you carry on applying, you build relationships with the grant giver, you get to a point where they trust your organization and they know that you can deliver, and they let you have the funds unrestricted. Now I want to introduce what I call the 4 golden rules of writing a grant application. You may remember this from your social business plan too. The first one is problem and beneficiaries. The second one is outputs. Third is outcomes. And the fourth one is measurements. So beneficiaries and the problems is really where you explain what the problem that you're trying to solve and for who. You need to write a very clear problem statement, what the issue or the problem that you see and you are identifying. Who is it that you are helping? Who's going to benefit from the project that you're trying to do? You may need to back this up with really important key data. Can you find the statistics or the articles online to support your problem statement claim? Is that going to be possible? Why is it so important? Why does this matter to the society? So next, you need to write your outputs. This is what you're going to be doing. Outputs are your direct deliverables. What does that even mean? It's the activity that you're doing in this project for the grant that you're applying for. Are you planting trees? That's an output. Are you running workshops? That's also an output. Are you running organizational trainings? That's an output. Are you lobbying the government with an advocacy campaign? This is also an output. Outputs are often expressed in numbers. How many workshops you deliver, or how many workshops would you like to deliver? How many people are going to attend your sessions? How many trees would you plant? How many campaigns are you intending to run? It's always good to express your outcomes in very clear timelines. How long will you run the sessions for, and over what period of time? Next, you have the project outcomes. The outcomes are the change that the project is actually going to make. What are the positive changes resulting from the work and the real difference you will make with this grant? The outcome of your project needs to be linked very closely to the goals of the funder. What are their goals? What do they want to achieve? Some examples of an outcome would be as follows. positive changes in the environment. If your project is working on an environmental mission, the funder wants to fund this. They need to be linked to that outcome. Or the funder may have priorities around changing behavior, skills, or even knowledge for the people. Is that a focus for your fund, for your funder, or your projects? The outcome needs to be linked to that. Now, it's very easy to say that you are going to create change. What are you going to do? But what is hard is being able to say how you are actually going to capture the data so that you can really show the impact that you're going to be having. Measurement is so important in a project and grant proposals. Measurement is how you are going to measure the impact that you're going to have. Measurement gives you a very clear indicator and parameters to analyze against your forecast, but also to see the impact that you're having if that's what you actually wanted to achieve. One of the biggest ways to collect data is to gather feedback from the people that you are actually working with. Is this what you're doing? Is this what you're doing? Is what you're doing going to have an impact on them? Would it really? You need to use this measurement to analyze trends that you may find, and then use this to create a future forecast of impact and assumptions. When you measure, you want to use, when you actually measure, you would want to use that before and after data to show the impact. So you measure it before, and then after, you show the impact. You measure it again. The way to think about this is when someone or something interacts with my project, how are they going to feel? Or what is the outcome? What is the change? When they have finished with my project, what has happened to them? What changed? Did you actually reach any, did this impact them? Did this impact their lives after the project? So finally, the way you want to collect data is by using qualitative and quantitative data sets. Qualitative in words and quantitatives in numbers. Okay, we want to give you some top tips when going to the world of writing grants. First of all, different funders ask the same question using different words. You can also use the same answer, but just rewrite it to fit what that particular funder is asking for. Don't rewrite every section every time. Instead, keep updating your template. And your template answers, usually on Google Doc, for reuse. You can reuse them for future applications and save your past applications as well in a Google Drive folder. A little better step by step with each new grant application. You make your template text a little bit better. You need to write your new grant. You need to write in the new grant writing tool, the new templates document, and ask for feedback. You may have a lot of answers already, but look back at your text. Maybe a lot of this is in your social business plan. Reuse that text from your social business plan. You must work smart, not hard. Always remember the golden rule of grant writing. The problem you are solving, the outputs you will do, the outcomes you will achieve, and how you are going to measure it. That's just the 4 golden rules. If you stick with this, you'll write a good grant application. So now is the time to introduce the fantastic new grant writing tool, which Lucas will put in the chat now. The tool is designed to help you write your grant proposals, and it's to help you understand your funder's priorities. In this tool, you will see 4 sections: who is the funder, the grant writing tool, the budget section, which you can use the budget from the Smart Grant tool that we did in the last workshop, and finally, crowdfunding. Today, we're going to be focusing on these 2 sections. So in this first section, this is all about writing what we have just been talking about in the previous slides around your problem statements, your outputs, your outcomes, and how you measure the success. This can be shorthand, means it can be notes or bullet points in this section. This is not your actual grant. It's your key points for your projects. Remember to be very specific. You need to focus on what you're going to do. Always refer back to this for your project, as it's going to guide you in writing a grant for a specific project. Use the tool to apply for multiple grants. Now we have also included in this tool an area for you to draft the application. This is because it's always better to write a grant application in a Google document first so that you can get a feedback. Copy the application questions from the grant application into where it says grant questions, your grant questions. Then you can draft your answers in there. It allows you to make mistakes and to edit. You work somewhere which is not the actual application form and won't be seen by the grant giver. Finally, we do this because it is a great way to get feedback on our grant applications. The more feedback you get, the better the grant will definitely be. Turn coaches can help you. They can give you feedback, and they are able to give you direct comments as well in the Google document, which cannot be seen in the application form. So for example, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the Girls Cookies Club. So we look after minoritized women who always come for the health and well-being classes. That's one of the projects we run. And we just found out that every time they come, their children, mainly the girls, the teenage girls, are always left out. And the girls are very isolated and they don't have English as a first language. And so we decided to come up with something to be able to help the girls. And even in the process, we had a couple of the young girls who would not go to school when they are under their periods because they didn't understand about period, where to get pads and all of that. So we came up with a project. Number one, what was the problem we were trying to solve? The problem was we needed to bring out these teenage girls from isolation and to integrate them back into the community and also to train them on period poverty. Now we decided we were going to run the workshop once every month for 4 hours on a weekend over 6 months. So that's the duration. And then we were now going to also impact these lives by getting feedbacks from them. So the most important bit was when they come in for the activities, we are going to get feedback from them, which will also define how the next workshop would go. And that will be our impact. And that will be how we will measure the impact by getting feedbacks from them when they come in, and then they have to register as well when they come in. And so we put all of this down and we applied for the grant with this clear rules, telling them what the problem is, telling them how long we want to do it for, telling them the niche children that we are going to impact and how we will measure that impact. Okay, so we are now going to go into our breakouts and we're going to be working in the new grant writing tool to identify who your beneficiaries are and what the problem that you are trying to solve is. Identify how you will do this, which will be your outputs. Also identify what change you will make, the outcomes, and identify how you will measure the outcomes to show the success of these projects. Okay, guys, time for a 5 minutes break. Enjoy. Lucas, can you play some music? See you in a
Not a
bit.
break, not a break yet, Valerie. You've gone too early. We're gonna have a breakout first.
Oh, yeah, when
Yeah,
we come back from the
when we
breakout.
come back from the breakout. Sorry, guys. Valerie got
I
excited
really,
about.
I want a cup of tea. That's what's
You can have
happening.
a break. Everyone else has got to get to work now. You can have your break. You've done your bit. So we're going to open up now for 30 minutes, and shall see you guys in the breakouts. Please
See you
click
in a
join
bit.
rooms. Valerie will be back at 6:40.
All right, that's fine. Thank you.
If everyone could just click join room, that'd be brilliant. Aruba, over to you.
Oh, welcome everyone. Welcome back. So, okay, in the next session now, we are going to spend some time looking at the who. This is who is actually going to fund you. Need to always check requirements and adapt your funding proposal and you're based on the funders. Funders have very, very different funding priorities, so always check the requirements first, as well as their priority areas. Do they want to fund young people? Do they want to fund women-led projects? Do they want to fund workshops, environmentally focused? They're all the priorities and requirements that you need to look at before even applying for a grant. But also make sure that you check that you are able to apply for the grant. Do you need to be a charity? Do they accept CICs or do you need to work in the UK? These are all requirements and priorities which you have to check before even applying for that grant. And it may seem silly, but please check the deadline. Make sure you check the deadline and know that you have enough time to apply for it. There's nothing so bad like, wasting your time to apply for a grant that the deadline has already passed. So it's important. In fact, it's as important as the grant application itself to know your funder. You need to know exactly what it is they want to fund and what their priorities are. You need to tailor your projects to the priorities and the goals of the funders. So in this, we have a space for you to put down the grant name. You need to put down the funder's name in the next bit, but also a space here to look at what the funders' priorities are. What do they want to fund? What kind of projects will they fund? What is it that they're actually looking at this time to really spend their money on funding? Who is it that they want to fund? What sort of projects do they want to fund? You need to spend time researching what it is that your funder actually wants. You need to know their priorities. You really need to know their goals so that you don't waste your time. It takes a lot of time to fill the forms for grants. You need to write down their requirements. So what is it they want to fund in terms of requirement from you? Do you need to be a registered charity? Sometimes some grant providers will allow you, even if you're just a community group, they can allow you. Or some of them will say, we can only fund CIC. Some of them will say you have to be a fully registered charity, to get funded by them. Don't get caught out. Make sure you check the requirement before applying. And it is really, really bad if you write an entire application and then realize that you'll be rejected because you didn't check the requirements. You need to put down the grant website. You need to you need to put down the deadline. You must not miss the deadline. So a few things to remember before applying for the grant. Examine each opportunity. You must first think, is this the right opportunity for this project that I'm trying to run? Is your idea, what you have on your mind, or what you think the project would look like, is it right for this particular grant that you want to apply for? Don't try to fit a project into a funder who doesn't have the same priorities as you. Don't try to apply for a grant where the funder wants to work with organizations in arts. And if you're running a sports organization, there are two different priorities. Make sure that your project really fits their impacts and their priorities. I know we sound like a broken record. We've repeated priorities so many times, but it's very, very important. It is important. And you also have to think, are you at the right stage for what they actually require? Is that what suits your organization at this particular time? Have you got all it takes right now? How big is the effort versus the reward? Is it worth the application at all? Do you want to spend, say, for example, a whole week filling an application that you will get something that will be like peanuts, won't even fund the project? Is it worth it? Excuse me. Are there other more suitable grants that you can apply for? Does it really have to be this one? Is your grant request amount right for them? Is it going to be too big or is it too small? Does the timeline for the funding decision as well, and the distribution of that money, if you get it, does it fit into your plan? All of these things you need to put into consideration before applying. Now we're going to spend some time looking at where do you actually find these grants? So who can fund you? There are multiple funders, but you need to go out and find the ones that would actually fund your projects. Now, the most common grants that a lot of you would know is the social funding grants. These are often very community-focused grants and are heavily social impact focused. They are often themed as well and almost entirely for non-profit organizations. And some examples of these funders in this area would be so the National Lottery, for example. Another area of grants are the innovation grants. These grants are specific for creative, new emerging industries, often in the sustainability sector. And you know that sustainability is quite huge at the moment. And are for new research areas as well. Often these grants are open for both business and non-profit organization, but they are very competitive. Some examples of the funders in these areas are Nesta or Innovate UK. Another area of grants are corporate foundation grants. These are the foundation of large corporates, organizations. They are often themed as well and focused. They usually focus on nonprofits. Another one is the cooperative foundation. That's also another example. And finally, there are some statutory organization grants, which are like the government grant or the local authority grant. These are both for businesses and nonprofits. The Mayor of London also has a fund which regularly opens for new applications. Okay, so where do you find grants? Well, one place to go is your local CVS center. This is your local volunteering service in your borough. Go and meet them. You need to network and be plugged into the local community. If people know you are doing something, they can recommend you. Some of them will want to collaborate, not compete, but you can collaborate. But you must make yourself as known in your local community where you are. You cannot be a stranger in the local place. You need to be able to step out and find out what is going on and then get to know people, get to meet people, and then they will know what your social enterprise stands for. You need to sign up to newsletters as well. You can get so much more information from them. You need to find grants through getting emails. So why don't you sign up for the 10 Change Makers WhatsApp opportunities where they share grants regularly? I've been a benefactor of that as well because I'm on that WhatsApp group. So I'll encourage you to sign up. You can check databases as well. And there are a lot of databases with grants that exist online, and you can use existing grant databases like Charity Excellence. You can also use ChatGPT because this is an emerging and amazing resource to help you find grants. Lucas will give you a demo right now. Over to you, Lucas.
Thanks, Valerie. Very exciting, this demo. So I should just take over the screen share. Can everyone see my screen okay? If someone just give me a yes. Yeah, awesome. Great.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so I'm just going to show you a couple of things, which is very exciting. First of all, we're going to be talking about the National Lottery Awards very shortly and the Unlimited Awards. There's are two that I have posted in the chat that I think, a lot of turn entrepreneurs have got. But Valerie's going to talk a little bit more about that later. So there's a few different funding finders out there, and I will share all of these in the chat. But I first of all just want to talk about charity excellence. So charity excellence is it's a great way to actually look for to find grants, to go and find grants. They have a whole thing here called Funding Finder. And so what I can do in this, it's a completely free resource to sign up to. I'll share. Do you know what? I'll share it in the chat afterwards, so don't worry, you'll have it. They've got a 3-minute video as to how to actually use this. You've got a little guy here to help you. But it's amazing. Like you can talk, you're UK. Okay, so I'm UK based region. I'm going to say England. I'm going to go that I'm based in London. I want to apply for up to £10,000. Specifically, I'm going to be in the sports sector, people that I'm working with. I'm going to say that I'm working with young people. Recent, any categories. So yeah, keyword search. I'll leave that blank for now. Let's see what comes up. And then all I do is click search. And I now have 66 entries that are there, right? So of these 66, how many are relevant for me? I don't know. I then need to go in and have a look at them. And are the grants open? And can I apply for them and things like that as well, right? So a lot of them are updated, but they're not always. So the deadline there, for instance, right? There's a deadline here. It says 1st of the 5th, 2025. Okay, that's really cool. So this is actually in Essex. I could look into that. That's the amount that I can get between £1,000 and £5,000. But this is sort of education, elderly, community arts, and sports. it has youth as well. So this might actually be quite an interesting grant for me to apply for because it's exactly what I'm looking to do. I'm based in London. I don't want a huge grant. I work with young people with sport. So this is a very easy resource to use, super easy, right? And it will save you so much time because it will already break down. It will break down what it is, how many are available to you, and you can watch this video where they literally explain everything, how to use it, much better than me because this person works probably for charity excellence and I do not. So do watch that video. It's super easy to follow, very, very easy. The next thing that I want to show you is actually I found out about today. So this is brand new for me. But the Refugee Council have launched a funding toolkit. I signed up for it earlier and I've had a little play around. And what the funding toolkit is specifically designed for refugee-led organizations that have annual turnovers of less than £500,000, and they're really looking at trying to help. They're doing a lot on refugee leadership at the moment, Refugee Council, and they're trying to untap grants that want to directly fund small grassroots community refugee-led organizations. So everybody in this Zoom. So I had a little look at it and it looks great. I mean, this was just, I typed in sport. Um, as my example. And I got all of these different sort of things that came up in different parts of the UK. I can go even like, I can go even smaller as well. So I can go really local. They've got European grants there as well. I can change my keywords. So I can maybe search for refugee arts. Let's see what comes up. There we go, 43. So you've got the Ukrainian Refugee Integration Fund in Lincolnshire, the Tyne and Wear, if anyone's based in Newcastle. And suddenly you're finding a lot of different grants that are popping up. Now you need to go and have a little play around in this, but it's really super easy to use. You've got all of this different sort of work areas that are here. So if I did young people again, it pops up here. So there's loads that you can actually find, and the Refugee Council is really trying to plug these for organizations that are working with refugees, but also for refugee-led organizations as well. I've just played around with that today. I'm probably going to use it for my own fundraising. It's really cool. It's really exciting. And you can search it by deadline as well. So this one, the deadline's coming up soon. So you can see exactly when the deadlines are and things like that, right? So if you wanted to do it the other way, then you can go by keywords and things. So it's quite easy to use, quite easy to navigate. So I'd have a little look at that. I'll share that as well. Now, the final thing is ChatGPT. Not everyone loves AI. Some people do, some people don't. Some people use it all the time. Some people don't use it all the time. Some people use it sometimes. But for grants, it is actually just better than Google. Because if you Google a grant, it's paid for advertisement that's going to pop up to the top of the page, or it's a keyword search and SEOs, which basically means it might not always be that relevant for you, the grant. But what you can do is you can tweak your answers loads. So the more specific you are with ChatGPT, the better the results. That's what I really recommend. So here I've told it that I am a social enterprise based in London, working with young refugees and asylum seekers who are 16 to 30 years old. I am a registered CIC by guarantee, and I have an annual turnover of £15,000. So I've told it who I work with. I told it how I'm registered, and I've told it how much money I make so that it knows I'm quite small, right? And that's really important because some grants say you need to have an annual turnover of over 50 or £100,000. I've told her the project. I want to run a football project for 30 young refugees and asylum seekers. Again, I've said age 16 to 30, and I need to get a grant of between 10 to £20,000. So I said how much I need. Please, could you give me a list of 5 funders who I could apply for? Make sure that the deadline has not yet passed and is relevant for the work that I do with sport and young refugees and asylum seekers. So I've been very specific there. So if I click search, Let's see what comes up. I have no idea. I've not done it yet. Hopefully it's good, because otherwise my entire point is not really valid. Um, there we go. It's given me five. So this is really interesting. Okay, so if I was, this is specifically Richmond upon Thames, but it's good to know that they have these grants down in Richmond. Now, if I wanted to run a project in Richmond, maybe I could, apply for this grant. There's the Migrant Help Community Hubs Grant Scheme, London Churches Refugee Fund, Islington Borough Sanctuary, Shaping the Future. Now, ChatGPT, be very careful because it's not always right. This has actually already expired. So it's saying to me that the deadline's gone, it's worth monitoring for future opportunities. So it's not always right, doesn't mean you apply for it, but it is definitely taking on board what I am as an organization and telling me to keep an eye out for that. So what it gives you is it gives you a lot of different options. Okay. And you can ask it another question afterwards and you can say, amazing. Now, could you actually be more specific for the grants I could apply for to be based in central London only? See what happens. I don't know. But you can ask it a question back. You can ask it to be more specific. I've said I want it to be in central London only. So let's see if it gives me some new ones. There we go. City of London Corporation, that's popped up. London Community Foundation. Islington's there again. Camden, that wasn't there before. Sports England, run. So it's giving me new ones based on me asking it new advice on what I'm doing. So ChatGPT is a great way to start as well with what you're doing. But you've got three fantastic resources here to find grants, right? And I'm going to share them in the chat now. But it is up to you. Grants, as Valerie was saying, put yourself out there, get known, but also you need to do the research to find some grants that are relevant for you and your organization. All right, I'm going to pop those in the chat and I will pass back over to Valerie now. Valerie, are you back?
Yes, I'm
Oh,
here. I'm here. I'm just trying to log back.
just there's
Yeah.
a comment in the chat which I just want to address very quickly, which says, "Can we also use ChatGPT to apply for grants instead of us?" Of course you can. That's absolutely fine. However, it's very obvious when ChatGPT has written something. I review a lot of grants, right? And I know every single time ChatGPT has been written. Now, I'm not a grant fund giver, so I don't know whether grant givers mind this or not. But I do know that when I have, if I'm looking at someone who's applying for a job or something, ChatGPT, when it comes in, use it as a frame, but do also try and write it. Try to write the grant. You can use ChatGPT as a frame. That makes a lot of sense. But my personal inclination is to use it wisely and use it in a way to give you a frame, but not to just copy and paste and then submit. I would use it as your first draft, and then I would edit it. Then I'd ask for feedback on that first draft, and then I'd edit it again, and then I'd submit it. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Lucas. Thank you. Okay, so now one funder that should be on everybody's radar is the unlimited.
That's correct, Valerie. It's unlimited.
Yeah. They fund social enterprises and social startups at the early stages, and they have 5 different awards that you can apply for depending on your social organization. Oh, Lucas is taking me back. Let me go again. Yeah. It's gone all muffled over here. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Can you just give me a thumbs up if you can see it? Yeah.
We can see it. Can you hear us still, Valerie?
Um, No, hold on a minute.
Valerie, can you hear us? Or hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you again now. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
technology.
You're back.
Technology is
We're
playing with us.
we're used to it.
Yes, I'm trying to. Yeah. Okay, so they offer grants up to £8,000 for organizations that are just starting out, and grants for up to £18,000 for organizations that are looking to grow and scale their social venture. Could you see, it keeps taking me back, Lucas.
Stay on the right side of the screen.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah. They do have very strict requirements about what you can spend the money on and what your project should be focused on. Make sure you look at these requirements. So they have 4 deadlines per year and 4 application cycles per year. And the next deadline is coming up. I think we've gone past that. That's the deadline. The next deadline is coming up at the end of June 2025. So if you want to apply for this grant, please contact Lucas. Lucas, please can you share the website to this grant on the chat? So okay, let's look at this example from Unlimited. Specifically, this example is funding future programs. This fund is designed to help young social entrepreneurs to tackle financial exclusion. So already we can see that the funder's priorities are in the financial inclusion sector. Specifically, this grant provides funding and support to young people creating financial solutions for marginalized communities affected by economic barriers. So we can see what Unlimited is looking for is social organizations that are going to clearly address financial exclusions, create solutions for marginalized communities, empower young entrepreneurs to drive social change. They also have very strict requirements for this grant, and to be eligible to apply, you must be the founder and the lead of a social venture, and you must be between 16 and 30 years old. You must be based in the United Kingdom, have not previously received the same award, have a financially sustainable idea. You must clearly demonstrate a social purpose, require both financial and non-financial support, have impact in the UK. Unlimited have many deadlines, very many. Another grant I would like to recommend looking at is the National Lottery Awards for All. This is an open application for relatively new projects and can be for projects up to 2 years. They will fund between 500 to £20,000. They are a very good funder and they do back early stage social enterprise. They do not have a deadline, but they are open until they decide to close. And Lucas, please, can you share the website to this grant? I'll encourage us to apply for this. It's very easy as well to apply for. We've had it twice in a row. So it's very easy. It's very straightforward. It doesn't break your back. In fact, it's much easier than some of the grants that are small. So please, I would personally encourage you because we have benefited from them twice, as in a row. So now let's look at another fantastic opportunity, the Awards for All grant, the National Lottery Community Fund. What we want to see here is it's very different to Unlimited. This grant offers between 500 and 20,000 for projects that are lasting up to 2 years, that strengthens communities and improve local spaces. Now let's look at the funders' priorities. The fund fund supports projects that bring people together, improve community spaces, help individuals reach their potentials, support communities that are facing challenges like the cost of living crisis. It is very clear. It's a very clear funding area. So if you're looking to start an AI app, perhaps this is not the grant for you because they won't fund you to start an AI app unless maybe you built it with the inclusion of the community. So who can apply? Who is eligible? This includes charities, CICs, nonprofit schools, even community groups that are not registered, but you must be based in England. So you can see that they have very clear funding priorities. If you're based in Wales or Scotland, sadly, you cannot apply for this. Unlike Unlimited, this has no deadline. You can apply anytime. Can you see that there are 2 grants here that you should be applying for, and that there are many from the 10 community who have applied for? Like I said to you, we are beneficiaries. We have had it twice in a row, but they are also very, very different in their priority areas as to what they want to fund. So right now it's time to go and try finding grants for yourself. So we are going to go into a breakout room again for 20 minutes. And we are going to, first of all, sign up to the Refugee Council Funder Toolkit, research relevant grants using the database or ChatGPT. Find one grant you may want to apply for and write the funder's priority.
Just before we break out, I'm just going to say that's section 1 in the grant writing tool. And in the grant writing tool, section 1 is all around priorities. Section 2 is what you did last time. And then there's a third section there, which is for a draft of an application. Okay, so you just, when you write an application, you copy the questions in so that you have a space to write in. But knowing what your funder wants to fund is essential, absolutely essential.
Crowdfunding. So crowdfunding is an alternative way of fundraising and is a way to raise money for your project or your business by collecting small amounts from people, usually via online platforms. This means you get lots of people to give small or large donations to raise a collectively larger amount in the end. Now, with crowdfunding, you need a very strong network and a great story to be able to raise successfully. You need to be able to rely on people to pass your crowdfunder around. On average, 10 crowdfunding campaigns have historically raised between £500 and £3,000 through successful campaigns. And it can exceed this range. Again, I'm also a beneficiary of that through then. I did crowdfunding and we raised, I think, over £1,500 as well. When you crowdfund, you need the supporters to be behind you. So you need to buy, they themselves will need to buy into the change that you're trying to achieve. And the audience needs to resonate with your story and the impact that you want to have. You need to offer them rewards so that there's an incentive for them to donate. You need supporters to share this and pass on the crowdfunding so that you can have maximum impact. So with our one, when we did the crowdfunding, we had a whole different personalized gifts. And so we had different gifts. So we tied it. So for example, if you give £5, you're going to receive like a little Women of Grace cosmetic purse. If you give £10, you'll get like a journal. And then if you do £15, you get like the journal, a pen, and something else. So those are the kind of incentive you put you tie to the amount that people give. There are lots of different platforms that you can crowdfund on. And 10 has previously run campaigns on a platform called Crowdfunder. That's where we did our one as well through Turn. So we need to check out previous campaigns run by Ideas into Action alumni by scanning this QR code. Are we scanning the codes?
I hope so, but I've also popped the link in the chat,
Have you
so
popped the link in
it's in the
chat?
chat,
Okay.
yeah, and I'm going
All
to do the
right.
same.
Okay, thank you. Now, crowdfunding is hard and it takes a lot of work and dedication. You would need a very strong network before considering it, but it can be a great way to raise funds that you can use to start your organization or even deliver your projects. So are you ready to start a crowdfunding journey? If you are and you think you are able to pull it off, you have the network behind you, then book a specific crowdfunding session with Lucas to discuss it in more detail and to make a plan to successfully crowdfund. Yep, Lucas.
Valerie, thank you. You can stop sharing. Um, if everybody would like to join me in just saying thank you to Valerie, who's joined us tonight, and you have been fantastic as a presenter. We are going to have to skip the Q&A, sadly, tonight for reasons out of our control. But I'll just say thank you so much to Valerie. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for sharing your insights. And thank you for for everything that you brought to the community, but also to the workshop tonight, and your inspiring story of getting grants and and teaching us all about the best tips and tricks as well. So hopefully everyone here in 12 months will be where you are, having got lots and lots of successful grants. So everyone say thank you one more time. Thank you, Valerie. Have a lovely evening. You are free to jump off now. We're very grateful for your
Thank
time,
you.
and thank you for a great presentation.
Thank you. Bye.
Hi, Valerie. So I have a very tough act to follow now, which is following from Valerie. I just want to take a very quick moment before we do that to say that I'm about to share something, and I'm going to copy this if I can. Done. I'm about to share this, which is the Turn grants page. Okay. It has a lot of information about grants in there. Some of it new, some of it old. Some of it relevant, some of it not. So take it with a pinch of salt. But there is some good stuff on there as well. We are kind of working to update that, but that's sort of work in progress. I also just want to take this opportunity while I'm not sharing screen to say thank you to Bija Saholo, to Diana, to Fuad, and to Aruba, who have been joining us throughout Ideas into Action. And this is kind of our last like Just Turn workshop. So I want to take a moment to say thank you guys, the dream team, Aruba. Don't be shy, take your camera off. I just want to say thank you very much because there's absolutely no way I could have done any of this without you guys. The facilitation and being on board and everything. So just want to say thank you so much to you guys being a fantastic facilitation team. And I say thank you to all of you for showing up, but we're not quite done yet. We will probably finish slightly earlier tonight, now that we had to skip the Q&A. But just the last little thing, which I'm going to bring us home. Can everyone see my screen? Have we got we got a Turn grants page. So you can scan
Yeah,
that QR code or you can visit in the chat. But Bija Saholo has been an absolute legend and has been pasting all of these in the WhatsApp group. So Bija Saholo, if you could do the same with the last few links that I posted with crowdfunding, guys. If you want to crowdfund, if you're thinking about crowdfunding, set your expectations. to around probably 2 grand, £2,000, if you have a strong network. But we can have a conversation. You can treat it like a crowdfunding consultation, if you want. Um, and we can have a chat about it, and I can tell you about more about it in detail. We didn't cover it tonight because last year, when people did crowdfund, some was successful, but it's very difficult unless you have a strong, wide-reaching, and expansive network. If you don't have that, it's very difficult to crowdfund because it is all based on passing around what you're doing. Okay, so let's have a conversation. You've got the link in the chat. Have a little look at this grant page. Have a little look at the grant page, see what's on there. I think Aruba also updates some of the database on there as well. Um, Remember to book a Spark session. There is 2 months and 13 days, so less than 2.5 months of this program left. What you get from this is up to you. The end of this program is all up to you. Book a Spark session with just a hello. Book a Spark session with myself because we're here to help you in these last 2.5 months. And I'm going away on holiday for 10 days of those. So that's actually even less than 2.5 months. You can have a Spark session. My point is, guys, make sure that you make the most of the end of the program. You've achieved so much already. There's so much more to achieve. So make sure you make the end of it. Don't cram it all into the last week. Don't do what I always do, and cram. Try and do this as we go. You made so much progress already. You've showed up for 7 workshops. There are 2 more to go with our corporate friends online, Founders Intelligence, who are going to get you an amazing presentation. And then we've also got one next week, which I'll talk about. But the sessions with me and Bija Saholo, they're going to stop after the 17th of June. Someone asked earlier, do you still get any support? There is alumni support. We're a very tight-knit community. We're good friends. We keep helping. But the one thing that we don't have as much of is this regular one-to-one support with myself or with Bija Saholo. We are designing a new alumni support. I don't know what that looks like yet, but that will be launched in September, which is exciting. And one-to-ones will be part of it, but I can guarantee you that at the point of need, one-to-ones, like they are at the moment, they're not going to be part of that. All right. So make the most of it, and start booking those sessions in. I've got a pretty empty calendar next week. So I want you guys to be booking in. And if you can't book in or the times don't show, me and Beach Solo are pretty friendly. Send us a text message and see whether we can squeeze you in at another time. All right. So please do book in these Spark sessions. How exciting is this? Next week, I'm going to meet you guys for the first time. Madness, isn't it? I've only seen you all this big on my computer screen. I'm very excited. I haven't met some of you in person. I'm very excited for those who can make this to see all of you at this in-person training next Thursday, the 10th of April. It's an all-day training from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. It is at the Turn office. We do not own the entire office. We have a very small little bit in it. But it's called Shoreditch Exchange. It's in Hoxton, East London. It's not really east, it's pretty central. The closest underground or tube is Old Street, and the closest overground is Hoxton Station. It's a very short walk from Hoxton Station. It's about a 20-minute walk from Old Street. We're really looking forward to seeing you guys there. We'll send you instructions about how to get in and everything. We've got a caterer, food will be covered. You just need to bring a notepad, and we'll give you a little bit of a what to prep before this on Friday, but it's not too much, so don't worry. And it's being run by our great friends Hormoz and Safe from Results CIC, who some of you will know as they will be your coaches, or will have been your coaches. They're running it. It's all about sustaining your growth. So times get tough. You're thinking, what am I doing? The program's ended. You haven't got that grant. How do you keep going? That resilience that you need. How do you build a strong plan and platform for yourself going forward? It's also a great chance for us just to come together as a group. We've been working together for a long time, and we haven't met yet, but we will next week, which is really exciting. And we've got some lovely, lovely food from a Palestinian caterer in the community who did a food program. So some fantastic food as well. Bring a Tupperware. That is my extra piece of advice. If you want leftovers, I'm going to remember mental notes myself. There's always extra food. Bring a Tupperware, but it will be really nice, and we'll pause for lunch. We'll have an hour together as well, which will be lovely to actually just have a little chat. If you guys are traveling down from different parts of the UK, I know I've got people coming from Edinburgh, from Wales, from Birmingham, from Manchester, um, from just outside London, from Peterborough, I think. If you're coming down and you want to meet me on the Wednesday, have a little chat. We can do a session in person at the Turn office. Feel free to send me a message. I'd love to see you guys. I work until about 6 o'clock on a Wednesday. So just let me know. But it would be great to see you guys as well if you want to do that. Looking forward to that. We'll send you that. You'll get to meet me and Big Solo in person, which is fantastic. We're very excited. The brand booster. What's going on? Nobody's doing their branding. If you don't want a brand, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to get it. But if you do want a brand, we need to get a move on. I honestly, Pizza Holo, could you share the link to this Notion page? Would be amazing. But branding is not quick. Branding takes time, and so we're going to have a cutoff point, and it's probably going to be early May. I'd imagine it might even be around the 10th of May. So if you want a brand, we've got to get moving on this, moving and grooving, because branding takes time. There is the option to self-finance this for £300 with our amazing in-house brand designers, Letitia and Narcisse. And that is an unbelievably good price because usually it costs about north of £1,000 to get a brand. Or there's an option to do it DIY, as I like to say, with myself and Beach Solo, where we will be using cutting edge AI technology to get you a brand. Now, we would not say use this brand forever, the one that we will make with AI, but we have tried it, we've tested it, and it looks pretty great. But we would say it's a great first step for a brand to then go and work with a designer. The option's there, the option's yours, but you have to make a move on this if you want a brand because, yeah, it takes time, like I said, and we're not going to be able to do it after a certain date in early May because there's just not enough time. All right. Finally, give us some feedback. We finished at 7:57, 3 minutes before. We usually finish at 8:10. So let me know, let us know, let Valerie know, let me, Beach Solo, the whole facilitation team.